Hi there. With our culture chats right now, we're focusing on the lessons that we've learnt from the pandemic so far. For some of our researchers, it's not simply been possible to do their research from home. So we thought we'd check in this culture chat with Professor Kathy Belov about how her research group has been adjusting to the circumstances created by the pandemic. And she's chatting here with Culture Strategy Program Manager Stephanie Wood.
So, Kathy, you and Carolyn Hogg run the Australasian Wildlife Genomics Group. Tell us what it's been like doing research during the pandemic.
So because of my own interest in emerging infectious diseases and because of my role as Pro-Vice Chancellor of Global Engagement, I started following this pandemic quite early. So we had a sense of what was coming, and Carolyn and I sat down back in February and started planning for what we would do if we did go into shutdown. So we were able to generate lists of the types of papers we'd write, audit the data that we have in hand, and identify any gaps if there were any. And the team got into the lab and worked really hard in late February, early March to fill those gaps. So when we went into shutdown, the team was really well prepared to be able to go home, analyse data and write papers. And it's been a fantastically productive period for us. We've already submitted 10 papers. We've got another 10 coming. We've submitted some grants. We've launched a big genomics initiative around threatened species, and we've even done media from home. So in terms of fieldwork, Carolyn in particular has really been missing getting out into the field with the devils, but our Tasmanian colleagues are still out in the field and we've been connecting with them remotely, and Carolyn in particular uses WhatsApp to be able to connect to them in real time and make decisions around translocations of devils on the go.
So, how have you adjusted to not being able to travel?
I had to rapidly refocus and readjust the way that I worked. And I must say, I spend most of my time on Zoom now, often at very odd hours of the night, talking to collaborators overseas. But that's been really positive too, because I feel like I've gotten to know some of these international collaborators much better. I've met their families, I've met their pets, and we've had this common bonding experience where we've been able to talk about the pandemic and how our countries and our universities are responding to it. So it's shown that online collaboration works very well. And on the plus side, I haven't been jet lagged now for 7 months, which is a bit of a record. So I feel like a new person.
So, do you think you'll try and go back to the way things were before?
I don't think we'll ever go back to travelling the way that we did. I think this period has shown us that we can effectively collaborate online. I think early on in a new partnership, in a new collaboration, you do need to have a couple of face-to-face meetings. But beyond that, I think the technology that we have is great and we should continue to use it. It's not only great for our own health, but it's also really good for our environment if we reduce our carbon footprint.
Great to hear from Kathy and Stephanie there. And the experience of Kathy and her team is just one example of how research is continuing across the university, albeit with some adjustments during these unusual times.